this meeting to order. It's 6:02 p.m. We have quorum. Roll call, please.
Orlando Navarro, President.
Erasmo Villarreal, President.
Joe Lopez.
And Minnie-Dora Haynes. Thank you all. First item on the agenda is to discuss and possible action to recommend to the Board of Trustees approval of the amendment of guaranteed maximum price for Troutman Elementary School wing addition.
Good evening, Madam Chair, bond committee members, administration, and members of the audience. Ignacio Alanis, Director of Construction. I'm reporting on the first item. Administration recommends approval of and the amendment of the GMP for Troutman Elementary wing addition in the amount of $18,599.30. This amendment is being recommended due to the modifications to the scope of work related to an additional sanitary sewer utility line that needs to be installed as part of the classroom wing addition. Just to give a brief description of the location and the line that we're talking about. It's the new 6-inch sanitary sewer line, which you see up there in this orange. And this is a line that we felt is needed because of the existing condition of the line that's there, and from a recommendation from the engineers who discovered that after the GMP basically was initiated due to the percentage of the drawings and the completion of the drawings. So with that recommendation, we're looking to see if we can end that line. And the engineers of record are here in the audience in case there's any technical questions regarding this recommendation.
I'd like to expand a little bit. I mean, also, Ignacio, wasn't that line built when we had a lift station there at the school at the time?
Yes, I think Mr. Davila, if you would explain that line. This would be an existing condition.
Yes, originally we had a lift station that was it was a force main, and it was forcing the sewer down that line. So it wasn't given the proper slope to gravity feed. Once that was abandoned, we kept using it at a lesser capacity, so it would suffice. But now that we're adding this, we need to give the new line the right slope so that it can feed properly.
Once we uncovered the line, because we just barely started construction, we found out some sections that are fairly flat or actually sagging. So it would be advisable to include a new sewer line at this time before we start the project. That's why it's a recommendation to amend the GMP, because that was not part of the scope of work. At the beginning, the plans were to use the existing line, but it's advisable to install a new line because it's going to handle the existing kinder wing plus the new classroom wing.
And the money for this project will be taken from contingency allowance.
Well, at this point, I think we're asking to amend the GMP upwards by the 18,000 and change.
We will increase the GMP, so we would not use the contingency.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. We did have a contingency into the project, but you just want to make sure that you don't fall short.
Correct.
By not tapping your contingency.
We do have the entire project to go through the entire year,
Yeah.
and there may be issues that come up, especially when
Yeah.
we start renovating the office area.
Yeah. I make a motion that we accept this.
I'll second that, Madam Chair.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. And Mr. Lalo Uribe has just joined us. Second is the discussion possible action for the GMP for Orange Elementary School classroom wing addition.
Yes, the second item, the administration recommends as well approval of and the amendment to the GMP for Arndt Elementary Classroom Wing Addition in the amount of $42,390.66. This amendment is a result of the modifications to the scope of work related to the additional storm drainage utilities that need to be built as a result of the classroom wing addition. And in this particular case, we're looking at the overall site plan of Arndt Elementary School. And this is the section that you see in the oval sort of circles there that are affected. So we're looking at the proposed storm drain that's in between the wings, and it's going to lead out into the outlet.
Now, Chief, what are you tying this back into? An existing system, or is it sheet flowing out, or what?
No, this is to an existing system.
Can you go
Erasmo.
to the next slide?
Yeah.
I think that's, that's the engineer's drawing.
And then Joel Masharkey, the engineer of record, is here as well in case to answer any.
There's an existing curved inlet, they're on the south side. We would connect to that point.
Okay, but how much are we adding in capacity to tie into the system?
It's just crossing over to a large channel that's there. It's the same.
Oh, so it's an open flow back out?
Yes, it's
Okay.
It's the same
Okay.
amount of water.
All right.
And then Joel Masharkey of Sharkey Engineering is the engineer of record. Frank, one of the architects.
Yeah, is there any other questions? Or does that cover it? But the inlet crosses into the existing channel that's there,
Yeah.
and it's the same water, it's just being collected.
I guess my question would be just, why now? Why, was this oversight or what happened?
Now, in the initial stages, when they were doing the GMP, the initial thought was that it was all gonna be able to surface drain. And because of the distance between the gym and the new wing, it's very tight, and we have 2 ADA access points. So to get the swale in there would basically render that area basically useless, and then the area between there, the playground would have a huge swale in it.
That section between the wing and the existing gymnasium is actually will be a trench drain. It'll be an underground
A French drain?
trench.
Trench.
So we'll have inlets, great inlets throughout the entire concrete. You want to explain that?
There's no section there, but yeah, so it's like a concrete drain in the middle. It has to be accessible because kids are walking between the buildings.
Well, it's not there.
Yeah, so right here between, all that area there is a trench drain. People are walking, there's doorways, fire door exits here and here. So in order to keep that flat and get the water to run away, we had to put the trench drain in. That's also being served as a mechanical yard, so it just got really tight to try and let that water just flow freely. And again, at the time they were putting together the GMP, the general design thought was lip surface drain.
Anyone have any other questions? With this 42,390.66 addition, what does that bring the GMP up to? For Arndt Elementary?
Right now, there's another slide there. But to answer your question, currently the GMP is 2,889,835.
And this
So
brings,
we would add the 42,390 to that.
and it's, okay, and the total would be?
I don't know, I don't have the exact total, but
Okay.
we can figure it out. Get an estimate. I don't have a calculator here. And the allowance at this point would remain the same, the $100,000 allowance.
Mr. Fred Villarreal has joined us.
I believe the GMP initially for Arndt, this is renovation, was $2,889,835.
Correct. So we have to add the 42,390.66, whatever that total is. Okay, we have a math major here. figure it out, 2,932,225
225.
and 66. Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to get it
Was-
clear.
Let me ask one, I know that you had a budget for this particular project. With this amendment that is being proposed, is that still in your budget? I know you had given us the original budget for the project construction, right? So the additional 42,000 is coming from the overall scope of the whole bond, or where is it coming from?
It's within the overall scope.
It's within the overall scope.
The overall scope of the
If you
budget.
go to the financial report,
Yeah.
on page 5, for example, for Orange Elementary, the construction budget was 2,430,625. So when you add this, it will still be within that. We had construction cost 2,430,000. We awarded the project was 2,889,000, was over that amount, was approved. And this will increase by that amount.
So you do have about $400,000 over what you budgeted?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. That was my question. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any further questions?
Madam Chair, I'd make a motion that we approve the new guaranteed maximum price for this particular project at Orange Elementary.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second
Is there any discussion?
Just one comment. I noticed that both these particular items are civil engineering, and I know that when projects are being put together, it seems like not enough percentage is being passed on to the architects and the engineers. That's just my observation. And, you know, I'm wondering if because they're doing that, they, meaning the project, the guys who run the project, is that hurting us down the road because we're having to come back and see these things, you know, and when these things should have been done up front. But I see the percentages that are being paid out to the architects and the engineers, and, you know, it's just cutting it really tight, and now we're seeing the effects of that. So, you know, I'm hoping we don't see more adjustments for civil engineering or architectural, because it just goes to show that we're not emphasizing enough on those two areas, and it's gonna come back to bite us, because we're having to make adjustments. And we're making adjustments to the GMP. Now, I personally think we should take it out of contingency, so we have a running track of this and not adjust that big number, because at the end of the day, somebody needs to be held accountable for that money. And if we're not taking care of the specialty side of this, and we're cutting them short, we're gonna have these problems in the future. This is only two, but how many more of these are we gonna get down the road? So I just wanna make that comment. Thank you.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, motion passes. Next, we have informational items. Report on furniture and equipment purchase for Veterans Memorial Elementary School.
Good evening, committee. As you may recall, in April, I think it was April, we came to you and just asked for, we gave you an estimate of how much we would be spending on furniture and equipment, and asked that you would give us approval to go ahead and purchase as needed, and then come back and give you the report as to what was purchased and what was the total amount spent for Veterans Memorial. So what we have here for you is not just the bond funds, it's all the funds we use, so everything that it took to get the school up and running. We have it broken up by area, like, you know, the building, the classrooms, the nurses area. Then we have the description, the funding source that we utilized, what we purchased, the unit price, the extension, the purchase order, the vendor, and then the procurement method. Whether we went out for bids, we used a cooperative, or we used one of the state contracts. So in total, we spent $2,129,873.48 to furnish and equip Veterans Memorial. 478 of that was the furniture, the bond, and then about 1,064,000 was a technology bond, and then we had some startup, and then we had the leases. There's some stuff that we leased. Some of the computers were purchased, like the administrative computers, but all of the student computers, iPads, those were leased. So that's part of those lease costs. Do y'all have any questions?
They're leased for how many years or when do they
It's a
get?
4-year lease. The cost that I put there is the total purchase cost, but our lease payment is basically a fourth of that. And we put it as part of a bigger lease that we have district-wide, but we just separated that out so you would see what portion of that was for Veterans Memorial.
So the student iPads are leased, but the teacher iPads are not? Oh, no, they are, sorry.
Yes, they are. What's not is the teacher desktop and the administrative desktop. Those are purchased.
Is there any item descriptions that we're gonna look at later when we look at these 16 pages and go, oh my God, what is that?
Probably,
She can be reached at 473-7920.
Like DJEMBE, 10-inch diameter, 14 height, pre-tuned head.
what area are you looking at?
Page 11, I'm just being difficult. Startup, obviously it's a musical instrument.
Oh, yeah, yeah, musical instruments.
Oh, yeah, that kind of seemed to make sense. Do y'all have any other questions for Ms. Flores Jackson?
I did get an invitation to the opening, so
You'll be able to see everything there, so.
you're pressed for time.
You're gonna take
Well,
this
it's
list with you
all
and start
there.
checking
Yeah,
it
then we
off.
can check off, or, you know, make sure everything's there.
Yeah.
So if you want to know what it is, you can point it out.
I'm like, yeah, what? Because sometimes we, you know, have no clue, like that item that I just read out, other than it's a musical instrument. Anybody have any other questions?
Well, I think her question should be, is there anything that's gonna be on that you don't know what's on there?
Yeah.
No, well, there shouldn't be. I mean,
Okay.
either I or my staff will know about it, so.
We're not gonna know.
No,
She should.
obviously.
And we had everybody verify, so we went out to the school the first, like when they were delivering, there was someone from our staff there, the vendors were required, we had everything posted outside the room, what goes there, and the vendor had to say like they delivered and signed off on it. The stuff that the vendors didn't sign off were like, you know, maybe the science supplies where we gave the science coordinator the purchase order and she went and checked off that it was all there. So that's kind of like our checks and balances. Furniture, of course, we wouldn't miss it right away.
Yeah.
Those items.
I believe this is your third bond program,
Yes.
since she's been here, so she's
Yeah. I
opened up
just wondered what,
several
you
schools.
know.
Yeah, it started off when I was in furniture, and then they started adding instructional, which is fun. It's challenging, but it's fun.
Well, if there's no further questions, I'd like to call for a motion.
There's no action required.
No
Sorry,
action, no.
There's no
sorry,
action
Paul.
required, yeah.
Thank you.
That's information item. Okay, the resolution approving project scope amendment and intention to reimburse certain expenditures with borrowing proceeds.
Okay, Madam Chairman, Chairperson, if you recall, we brought the guaranteed maximum price for the Troutman Elementary additions and renovations to this board, to this committee. If you recall, it looks something like this, and we asked that you approve our recommendation to the Board of Trustees to do everything, including alternate 1, and we were still looking at alternate 2, which is a gymnasium.
Right.
Now, we highly recommended that this gymnasium be built, so we approached our board of trustees to see how, remember, it was pending the funding source.
Right.
Well,
Yes, Mr.
what-
Montemayor came up with that.
exactly, correct. To be honest with you, this school is one of only 3 schools who have gymnasiums that don't meet our current specifications. This one, of course, Troutman, Clark Elementary, and Salinas Elementary. On the bond program, we've got a total tear down and rebuild of Salinas Elementary, and we've got the construction of a new Clark Elementary, so they will have gymnasiums built to our current standards. This is the only one that wouldn't. So the Board of Trustees is more than likely, and we'll be presenting it to them in October, more than likely approve alternate number 2 to be built using general fund monies, so to speak. Now, this resolution, what this resolution is, and we presented it to them last week, and they will be approving it Wednesday, is basically a resolution saying that out of the remaining bonds to be issued, if after all the construction program, everything is built out, all the schools, all the renovations, additions, everything else, technology upgrades and so on, that were outlined in the bond program that was approved by voters in 2013, if there are any proceeds left, the board would like to see the general fund reimbursed out of remaining bond proceeds for the cost of this gymnasium at this point. So just for information, we'll more than likely move forward with the construction of the gym, just so that you know that we'll probably be coming back maybe in 18 months, because these types of resolutions last 18 months. As a matter of fact, we did one right after the bond was approved, because we had to start incurring expenditures right after the bond was approved, and it was going to take us a while to sell the first block of bonds. So any expenditures that we incurred out of the general fund, we had a resolution allowing us to reimburse ourselves for. This is basically the same thing. And so if there's any bond proceeds left after the bond program is over or built out, we will ask that those the 1.4, almost max of 1.5 million or so be reimbursed with basically excess bond proceeds. And this will be, of course, probably 3 or 4 years down the road until everything else is built out.
Does anyone have any questions regarding this resolution? Mr. Saliba? Okay. Then the current bond project status report?
So before we get started on the status reports, we have a video that we put together of the sites where you actually can see construction going on now. So we'd like to play that video for you at this time.
No music, no rappers?
You're the model, imagine a model that came out. It's school by your drawer.
So I wonder the sound of it.
The new security station entrance that we have, that we will be having at every campus eventually.
The flat panel screen, which every classroom is equipped with, and accessible to the students and teachers. Good.
There we go.
My name is Ignacio Lanez Jr., Director of Construction Management with United Independent School District, with a bond construction update. Veterans Memorial Elementary School at Chelito Lindo subdivision, located immediately south of Lamar Bonilla Legado Middle School. This state-of-the-art facility, a little over 100,000 square feet, and includes features such as a concreted courtyard at the center of the building with a shaded amphitheater classroom. Another feature that we are very proud of in this new design is the security station, which is located at the main entrance of the building, ensuring safety and security for all students and parents. some of the interior amenities included in this new program. There's the flat panel screen, which every classroom is equipped with, and accessible to the students and teachers. Currently under construction at around 20% completion is the new 9th grade campus at United South High School. This facility is a little over 200,000 square feet, and it's a 2-story structure. Also under construction is the new United High School 9th grade campus, which is directly north of the existing United High School, and that structure well is over 200,000 square feet and around 20% completion. Also under construction is Elementary School 28, which is currently in the site work phase and the building pad phase. This project is also over 100,000 square feet and located off Highway 359 and projected for completion in August of 2017. The middle school project, which is a little over 200,000 square feet, is also at the site work phase and projected for completion August 2017. Also located off of Highway 359. Yes, art.
That video that you just showed, that'll be online?
I don't know. We'll put it online.
If people are interested.
Yeah, it's
It looks great.
really good job. We used a helicopter, right? I don't know who went up there?
Yeah, ITV cameraman.
You went up there?
Which one?
Which one?
Okay, well, that was like a recap or summary of the current design build projects that we have. And I'm gonna go into the Arnold Elementary School classroom, wing addition and parking lot expansion. This is part of the construction manager risk project. And this project, we're basically just starting it at 1% completion, and the contractual completion date is June 30th, 2016. The architects, as well as construction management division, has conducted several site visits and reviewed the progress of construction, and the following site work activities are noted: the site work phase and the HVAC relocation in progress. And these are photos of the immediate area, which we were explaining in the drawing, requiring the drainage. So you can see they've already cleared the area between the two wings, and they're already at grade. And we'll be starting construction for the grade beams. So any questions on ours? Okay, we'll go to Troutman. Troutman, as well as we just started, so we're at 1% as well, and the contractual completion date is August 2016 for the classroom wing, the HVAC upgrade, and the new restrooms. And it's basically a two-phase job where December 31st, 2016 is the completion date for the administration offices and enclosed breezeway. The architects as well have conducted site visits, and they show basically some of the work in progress, which you'll see they've already secured the area for staging and the actual work area. They've also protected some of the exits for the students to stay away or keep away from the job site. The rough ground clearing has started. Here are just some photos of the immediate area. As you can see, they've already barricaded some of the walks to protect the students from that exit from the existing wing that they're going to be tying into. Any questions on Troutman? Okay, for Newman Elementary, it's the elementary school cafeteria expansion and canopy enclosure. We're also at 1% completion, and September 8, 2016 is the contractual completion date. And on this side, the architect and consultants have also made site visits, and the exterior site work is underway. There's some foundation building pads scheduled to begin next week, or actually this week. And they secured some of the immediate area of construction. You can see in some of the demolition of the drive that's already started. And by the next month, we'll have more progress on this project since it just started. Food production center. Another construction manager at risk project is a food production center for expansion. This one is about 5% complete. And the contractual completion date is September 31st, 2016. Right here, the food expansion area, the trenching, set up footings and beds are ongoing and preparing for concrete pour. Gravel been laid in according to the structural engineer's recommendations. The existing stagnates have been uncovered and will be adjusted to accommodate new design. And for the exterior site work, sidewalks have been demolished and prepared for additional new sidewalks. And it's a legend of the immediate area to the east. Sorry, to the east of the existing building. I believe that's those are the 8 projects that were presented for today. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bond program financial report, please.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, Madam Chair and committee members. Overall, the bond didn't see too much action from last month to this month. The main mover was bond issuance costs. As you know, we've already issued $200 million out of the $408 million. Other than that, we've encumbered less money this past 3 days. We did expend a lot of those encumbrances, about $7.1 million of it, but still, since they were already encumbered and we report the encumbrances and the expenditures together, you only see the actual movement of the new expenditure, which is the bond issuance cost. If you remember the last time that we met, that day that we were meeting, we're actually closing on the second issue of $100 million. So the very next day, we had to pay the issuance cost, and it comes out of this month's report. You know, if anybody has any questions, maybe on some of the details.
Where's that, Sam? I don't see that.
It's at the very bottom.
I'm sorry, okay.
We're hiding it at the very, very bottom.
Run that right before the grand total.
Yes, sir. Last month, it was about 700,000 or 800,000, and pretty much a double.
And once we issue a purchase order, it's encumbered, it's included in that second column. When we pay off that purchase order, we complete that purchase, quit getting the purchase order, it becomes an expenditure, but it was already included in that column, so you won't see much movement once a purchase order has been executed and completed.
Right. The way you're gonna follow that is if you go to the detail report, especially if you go to one of the 9th grade campuses, which is in the Here we do separate out, you'll see that we have the inception to date expenditures, which is the second column, and the encumbrances is the third column. You'll see like last month, that 28 million was a little bit higher, and the expenses to date of 3.9 million, I believe that was probably at about 2.9 million. So you'll see that we made an expenditure, you'll see the encumbrance go down, but the expenditure go up. And then you'll notice that the unencumbered, unexpended balance is pretty much gonna be the same, because we pretty much have encumbered everything for that particular project. Well, maybe not everything, it's like, it's a $5 million.
Construction for sure.
Yeah, just the equipment. Once the equipment, what Corey's presentation was, we'll do the same process for all these schools. That line item will start being encumbered and then expended.
And the technology infrastructure that has to be.
Yes, yes.
When you
That's
cut
how
up-
you'll track the movement on the detail.
Do you have a certain date you cut off during the month, or it's
The
just a
25th.
moving?
We try to stay with the 25th. Our system, the financial system that we're using to track these expenditures, we've got to run that report on the 25th, so it's the 25th of every month. Sometimes that falls on the weekend, so we might run on the 24th on the Friday, or grab it on the Monday, but it's pretty much the 25th of the month.
I think this is excellent, excellent information for people to see, and it's all there. I mean, it's as transparent as you can be. I mean, is this available on the website too, or?
I believe it is under
It's
our,
not like,
not
check
under the
that.
bond issue side, but under the finance, the business office side, it's there, but not under, we'll incorporate under both sides.
It's very, very good information.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody have any other questions as far as finances?
Okay, thank you.
Is there anything any committee member would like to bring forth at this time on the agenda?
Just one question. The ninth grade campus that we currently have, the United Ninth Grade Campus, how's the change gonna be?
On the use of that facility?
Yes.
When the bond program was formulated, developed, I should say, once the United High School ninth grade new campus was complete, those students would move out, and the initial thought was to make that a middle school, to alleviate Troutman and maybe some of the United Middle School, depending on the boundary changes. Right now, the greatest need that we have actually has to be Alexander, and we've been having delays in beginning construction of the Alexander ninth grade campus. And it gets to a point where United, or Alexander I should say, grows much more. We may have to have those freshmen go to that campus for the time being until the Alexander ninth grade campus is built. Now, again, that's still in discussion. This is nothing set in stone yet. And once the Alexander ninth grade is built, we move those students out, and then that becomes middle school. So we're going to continue using that for years to come.
You're not gonna have Alexander ninth graders and United ninth graders on the same campus?
No. That's what I'm saying. Once the new United ninth graders
They
go,
move out.
all of them go to the.
Okay. I was just asked that question. I said, I don't think that would work.
Mr. Zuniga,
Sure.
I see that Nachi, I think, spoke about, about the food production. Is that at the existing site?
Yes, sir.
You guys are not gonna be affected by the widening of the loop?
You know, it's funny, we went and spoke to Texas Tech Stop, and there is a plan that will affect us dramatically. But according to them, it's down the road.
No
Still.
funding at this time.
At this point,
Widen
there's no funding.
the loop.
Yeah. So, the widening right now, the only thing TxDOT is doing is from 59 to 359, I believe. North of 59, there's nothing in the recent future, or the near future, isn't the recent, the near future. Down the road, plans call for it affecting us dramatically, but at this point, we'll be okay.
We set a date for the next committee meeting. What are we looking at? Or is anything on the horizon that would cause a need for us to come back sooner?
I don't think there's anything there. One point of information, we've spoken to our design builders, and we're hoping to have most, if not all, our GMPs on the table by no later than January. All of them, for the rest of our buildings. That would give us a very good idea of where we stand as far as long-term plans for funding. Excuse me. So in the next few months, you'll start seeing some more GMPs coming in. But nothing that would have us come back earlier. We want to keep it about 4 weeks apart. We could look at October 12th.
Isn't there a holiday?
October 12th.
That's a staff development day for the teachers, and students are off, but I don't believe it's
Is
a
that on
holiday.
Columbus Day?
Yeah, It's going to stay.
It's not on the holiday anymore?
For us.
Madam Chairman, we don't even take July 4th off.
Oh. Okay, Monday, October 12th? Works for everybody?
Tentatively for October the 12th.
Did anybody sign up for public comments?
No, ma'am.
Okay, then it is 6:42 and our meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.